Everybody, thank you for your time today. My name is Chris. This is the Continuity Engine 2021 webinar. We're really excited about this. It's going to be a great presentation. With me today is Mike Wrightson. I've worked with Mike for, let's see, 11 years this week, Mike, from sales engineer to product management to VP of product and as last year's general manager with us today. He's going to be doing our presentation. Mike, you want to say hello?
Guess I'm trying to unmute here. So yeah, absolutely. It's been a while. I've been with the company for many, many years in various roles. And I really look forward to presenting a really nice presentation for, today. It's interesting that this is our first worldwide presentation, which is very exciting for us here at Neverfail. We have, by the looks, we're about almost at 100 participants today, but I can see that we have customers from the United States, from Latin America, from Asia, from Africa, from the Middle East and India. So we're really excited to do this. This is actually going to be the first of several global webinars that we will do. And we might adjust the times on this just to accommodate maybe the folks in Asia, maybe next time or so or something. But we are so glad that you could take the time. And I know for some of you, it's evening time. For you, it's morning time. Some of you, it is really late. So thank you for your time and joining us today. Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited about this. So folks, we're going to go through the presentation. As we go through this, if you have questions or want additional information, please feel free to reach out to your local approved Neverfail partner. And you can feel free to reach out to sales@neverfail.com. Drop us an email, we'll get you in touch. And then be sure and stay for the entire time, because at the end, we're going to talk about that quarterly webinar series and some dates and some content for the next time we'll be talking with you.
All right. All right, with that in mind, I think what we'll do is we'll get started. We got a lot to cover in this next hour or so. So with that in mind, just jump to the next one. Let's talk a little bit about what to expect from this webinar today. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be a webinar that's kind of broad-based, and for some of our folks here that have joined us, they're going to be new prospects, new folks that are being introduced to Continuity Engine and Neverfail altogether. And so we'll do a small introduction to our company. So for others, though, they will be either very recently new customers or partners, or they are existing customers. So we're going to have a little bit of something for everybody in this presentation. So we'll introduce you to the company. We'll tell you why we're uniquely different than others in the industry. We're going to talk about some use cases here for Continuity Engine. We're going to also talk about what's new with Continuity Engine 2021, which was recently released on December 22nd. We will do a live walkthrough of the new UI and show you some of the new functionality of this briefly as time permits. And we'll conclude with a look at the benefits of adopting Continuity Engine into your strategy. We also have a very special guest that we're going to interview during our use cases. So we look forward to that in a few minutes. So let's get started. Chris, I think we'll do some questions and answers afterwards, and he'll handle that with it, and we'll try to get as many of your questions answered. I know we have about 100, we're heading for 150 people, so we may not be able to get to every single question, but we will have a list of them. So if there is some others that we need to answer, we certainly will get out a thank you note and try to answer some of those questions that we had. Or we can certainly pass them through our partners if you're working with our local partners or distribution partners. Okay, so let's get started. So there are a few things that we want to do before we actually start the presentation. If you have these questions that you want to ask, then notice that at the bottom of your screen there is a Q&A button there. You can submit your questions, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll go through some of these and we'll answer some of your questions. So, but note that all of the questions will be logged, and so we will get back to everybody, as soon as possible if we can, and try to answer all the questions. All right, so let's talk about who we are. So if you're new to Neverfail, then we need to really kind of tell you our background and a little bit about our company. We've come a long way. We're over 20 years in with proven success. And we're based in Austin, Texas, but we have a worldwide organization. I am the general manager here at Neverfail. So I have teams that are here in the United States. I have a team in the UK. I have our engineering team in Romania. So we have a lot of people that are doing the day-to-day work of providing this world-class technology. What's nice about our company is that we have a lot of long-time people here. And one of our advantages is that we don't have a lot of turnover at this organization. We have people who are very enthusiastic about continuity. Most of my leadership team has about 100 years into this company. So a lot of us are long timers. I've been with the company 11 years, Chris about as much. We have folks that have been here 20 years. So all of us focus on one thing, is providing the most advanced capabilities to provide continuous availability to our customers. And we're going to show you a little bit about this in a few minutes. We are, as I mentioned, we're not new. We have tens of thousands of customers worldwide, and they actually go across multiple spectrums. So we have direct customers, of course. We have partners that a whole global network of partners and distribution partners. We also have OEM partners that have integrated their technology specifically into Continuity Engine, and that ecosystem continues to grow. So we are really in growth mode. We have exceptional customer satisfaction. Our team of people, as I mentioned, have been here for such a long time. They know this product intimately. So when you come into Neverfail, if you have an issue, you're coming into third level support. You're not coming into first level support with us. All of our team members have been here for a very, very long time and know this technology like the back of their hands. And as we mentioned, we are trusted by big name software companies. So our OEM partners, such as VMware and Mitel and AVST and others, all trust Continuity Engine and have integrated their technologies into ours so that we can extend the value of their technologies and provide this continuous availability model to them. So we're in over 60 countries worldwide. We're continuing to expand our footprint. We have dynamic growth. And really, we just have an amazing team here of professional services organization. Our engineering team, our leadership team, everybody is really just focused in on delivering world-class business continuity. So when you look at what we've done over the last couple of decades, really we've focused in on ensuring that our customers can restore business services within literally 30 to 90 seconds. That has been our stated goal. And so one of the things that you're going to see here from the amount of people that are on this telecast today, you can see that they're from all different types of verticals. They're partners, they're direct customers, but everybody has the same problem. They have a very critical application, a mission critical application that needs to be protected on Windows. And that's what we've done. We've really perfected the process of ensuring that you can restore critical business services almost instantaneously with Continuity Engine. So we give you the ability to do both business continuity and disaster recovery and provide these options for you. And we're going to talk a little bit about the use cases in just a couple minutes. So this is really, exciting for us because we have a very unique business proposition and value point that we deliver to our customers. And here's the reason why. When you look at the ecosystem of different types of technologies out there, there's so many. There's hundreds of different types of continuity products, ranging from backups to replication, to failover technologies. You know, what makes Continuity Engine different than any of the hundreds that are out there, right? So when you look at what's actually there, they kind of fall into three distinct areas. The first is what we call data protection model. So data protection literally is just the backing up of zeros and ones, right? So whether it is your files and folders, it is your virtual machines, whatever it may be, you're collecting data, you're storing it locally, or you're offsiting it for, you know, for DR purposes. But what it doesn't have is any type of intelligence. It is strictly zeros and ones. If you lose a file and folder, you can restore them. If you lose a virtual machine, you can restore it. You can restore it locally. You can restore it remotely. But it really is about data protection. So, you know, the basics of any continuity strategy starts up with a backup and restore process. But then, you know, over a period of time, we added things like data replication to kind of speed up the process, right, of getting that data offsite or into a different repository. So things like CDP and asynchronous replication, snapshots, synchronous replication, all of these are designed to move data faster, right, and get them offloaded. So, but again, these are data protection models, and they don't really fit the entire gambit of all of the gaps that we currently see in protecting mission critical applications. So that's where basic failover adds value to some type of data replication and backup technology. What's nice about this is that now you have the ability to fail over between different systems, between, you know, a production server and maybe a passive node, right? So it gives you that high availability, if you will, for hardware. It is strictly hardware focused. And when you look at the technologies that are out there, such as a Microsoft failover cluster, or you know, a semantic VCS, or a Stratus Everrun, or virtual availability such as VMware HA or FT, or even, you know, we're now looking at a lot of organizations are adopting HCI, right? Hyperconverged infrastructure. All of these really are designed so that you can have bulletproof underlying infrastructure, whether it is, you know, and it's a lot of it is software driven now, right? So, you know, your compute, your backups, the ability to have your all your systems available. All of these things are kind of made and are developed so that you can manage them through a common API and a common user experience. But it doesn't look at what's happening at the application layer. So the virtual machines that are running under HCI or the virtual availability environment is still prone to failure because it doesn't address the application problems, things that happen at the operating system level, or at the application layer, or at the networking layer. All of these things are not really addressed properly with a hardware availability solution. So that's really where we come in. So Continuity Engine, Neverfail as a whole, has been focused for the last 20 years in perfecting what we call continuous availability. So continuous availability to us takes a little bit of the basic failover, data replication, and, you know, basic, you know, data protection model, rolls that up, and then puts an intelligence layer on top of it that gives us full application aware failover. So now we can see things that are happening inside the application stack itself, and we can respond to those failures or to issues that impact the performance of the application server. The idea here is to give you a fully automatic, intelligent means of failover that doesn't require people to touch the systems. So we should have automation be able to detect these anomalies inside the application server, and then of course react to those and restore business services. So the idea of continuous availability is about protecting your business, right? And your, you know, if you're partners of Neverfail, protecting your customers' businesses, right? The business recovery is really at the top of the pyramid. Being able to take mission critical applications and restore them nearly instantly with Continuity Engine that is rules based. So now what we're talking about is taking a recovery-centric type of approach to continuity and then moving it to an availability model, right? So that you have proactive intelligence that can see things happening and then automatically restore those business services. So now that we've talked about why we're a little bit different, let's take a look at what could potentially happen to these types of applications, these mission critical applications. So, in many organizations, it just depends on the type of organization it is and what type of application might be very critical to them. But, usually it's ERP systems, medical systems, emergency management, and we'll talk about some of these in a little while in our use cases. But regardless of what that application is, the value of that application to your business is critical. So we need to be able to see what's actually happening under the covers. And so when you look at the gambit of all of the different things that could potentially happen, it becomes obvious that there are major flaws or major gaps in what traditional continuity technologies can provide. So you're looking at things like human errors and application problems. And applications actually fall into three distinct areas. The first is the actual services themselves. The second is the performance of the application. And third is its accessibility. Can I get to the application's web services, right? Can I log in as a user? So all of these are really part of looking at the application itself. Nobody does this, right? Nobody really does this in a continuity way. Now you have obviously network and server monitoring tools that kind of do this for SLA perspectives and be able to see when there's crash services, but they don't really do them for continuity purposes. And so this is really, something that that intelligence needs to be built in. And of course, you need to monitor the hardware, which goes without saying. But you also need to look at things like the network itself. If there's interruption of network services on that application server, then guess what? Nobody gets access to the critical application. If there's performance problems or failures at the operating system level, then regardless of whether the application services and the application itself is available, you're still going to be impacted and you could suffer outage. Now, the other thing that's happening now, and it's becoming much more prevalent, is malware from crypto virology, which means in simple terms, ransomware, right? So if you have ransomware, how do you recover from this, right? How do you get back to where you started? We'll talk about this a little bit later, but essentially, when you look at the average time for recovery from ransomware, it ends up being about 7 to 10 days. In some areas of the world, it could be as much as 15 days. Just depends on, what region you're in. So it's a very big problem for mission critical applications that could be death dealing if you don't have a recovery plan for ransomware. Of course, the obvious is natural disasters and human disasters, right? So we need to have a plan for recovering from hurricanes and wildfires and data center outages, things like that. Also, even things like tornadoes in the United States and other regions around the world. All of these kind of come together, and you need to be able to have a effective means of failover based on that. And not to state the obvious, but data corruption could also lead to major outages. So instead of having to, restore all of your data from scratch, fail over and be able to restore those almost instantaneously and have the same level of protection that you would if you had human errors or application problems. So this is really, the gambit of the things that could potentially happen. This doesn't mean that other things couldn't happen, but this is really the root of a lot of the issues that we see today. And so backup technology, data replication, basic failover, and clustering technologies are just not enough to cover these and be able to restore those mission critical applications in just a few seconds. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about some of the use cases for Continuity Engine. So some of you that may be existing customers or new customers, something to think about. For the ones who are prospects today, you may learn how that this technology could potentially, you know, be used in different manners within your organization. Some applications require high availability locally. Some may require disaster recovery only. Some may have to have both, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to focus in on 3 different use cases for Continuity Engine. All of these that we're going to talk about today, all of these are real companies. These are customers. We kind of kept the names hidden, so to protect the innocent here. But these are real customers, real scenarios, real requirements, right? So we have a financial services firm that has a mission critical physical credit card processing application. The application processes millions of dollars of transactions per day. The customer needs to detect and proactively fail over to minimize processing disruption and bad customer experience, right? So this is the application that when you go into a store and you swipe your credit card, it either processes your sale, right? Or you get that decline message. A lot of times it's because when you get a decline, it's because the infrastructure on the back end wasn't working properly, right? So this particular customer came to us and said, hey, look, we need to have automatic detection of failover on both the application and the operating system. We need to have this so it's hands-free. We don't want to have people going in and pushing buttons, right? We want this to be more proactive. We need to be able to recover this in less than 2 minutes and give them a very, very low RPO. And we want to keep the maintenance windows down to minutes instead of hours. We want to achieve the 5 nines of uptime, and we want to be able to, have the flexibility of implementing this any way we want through, virtual servers or even physical servers. And we're also looking at deploying into the cloud, into public clouds like an AWS or whatever, right? So that was their basic requirements that they came to us. Now from a solutions perspective, this was really a no-brainer for us, right? So we have rules-based automatic failover that's intelligent. So we integrate with these different applications, and we can see when things are happening inside the application server and provide that hands-free automatic failover in real time, right? So this also provides you with real-time replication to minimize that those RPOs down to a second or two, maybe milliseconds, depending on how much data is replicating. But the idea here is to keep those the loss of data down to the absolute minimal in a failover type of scenario. And we also support all of the major public cloud infrastructure, so AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and there's others. So we are hardware, software independent, or agnostic. We are hypervisor agnostic, cloud agnostic, and we also provide you with this continuous availability model regardless. All right, so that is what we call intelligent high availability, being able to automatically fail over hands-free and be able to restore business services. But some people don't need that level of protection. That's where effortless disaster recovery comes in. So we have an airline that has a mission critical virtualized flight management system that tracks flights across the nation. If the system goes down, they lose track of all of their flights in the air, which is a bad thing, right? So nobody wants to be able to say, look at a screen and see that all your flights have disappeared. Now, what they did need though is they needed to be able to restore business services quickly, but they also were looking at what would happen if they had a major disaster, right? From, at the data center, maybe there's water, fire, maybe, huge power outages, or even a natural disaster of some type, like a tornado or something. So they came to us and said, hey, look, we need to have a simple method of orchestrating a failover to a DR site. We want to be able to limit how much bandwidth that this is taking. And we want to have, the ability to just do failovers between different data centers almost effortlessly and reliably. More important, reliably. Because with different technologies that are out there, you may have different processes for different types of applications and failure events. So they wanted to have something that was consistent. They wanted to have minimal downtime. Well, everybody wants to be able to recover these critical systems within a minute or two. And they needed an easy way to restore back to the production data center. That was really critical to them. So, they know that they've had so many different types of technologies. Everybody can somehow maybe get you over to the DR site. The real trick is to bring it all back to production, right? And so they were looking for a solution that would make that almost seamless to them. And so we were, that was a major requirement. And of course, their replication was to their remote data center was about 1,000 miles away. So they needed to be able to do this quickly, easily, and cost effectively. So the solution was was continuity engine in a DR type of deployment, where we have effortless DR disaster recovery. And they wanted a push button approach to this. So this is what they got with continuity engine. We have WAN optimized replication that reduces the overall replication between sites up to 30x. They can fail over in about 2 minutes. And they have redirection that's DNS redirection that's automatically built into this. So they can, as soon as the failover is complete, they're able to redirect those users, and the application continues on as normal. They wanted no distance limitation. They wanted 1,000 miles away. We have no distance limitations. In fact, we have a customer that is failing over from the Middle East to the East Coast of the United States. So you can have great distances between your nodes in your cluster. And again, they wanted to have an easy way of bringing it all back. So that's what we do. We give you a switchback that is very easy to do. It's non-intrusive, and it provides you with the ability to switch back from your DR site to production with zero data loss. Right. So this is really a major value proposition for Continuity Engine, is to give you a clean failover process and a clean switchback process, and with the switchback process, there is no data loss with it. And finally is what we call tertiary. So tertiary protects you against all the major threats, right? So when, as we mentioned, the intelligent high availability is local, right? So that is fully automatic, application aware failover based on those rules that we talked about. And then you have a third copy at a, different geographical location, typically a different data center. And then you can fail over to those whether they're physical or virtual machines, as you see in this depiction. Now, for this particular customer, they are a city, a municipality, and they had a major mission critical application for emergency management software, right? It dispatches fire, ambulance, and police services. So can you imagine if this goes down? Really, lives are on the line. We could lose people if this is, and especially now that we're in a pandemic, it is really crucial that we have, emergency management phone numbers. In the United States, we call that the E911 system. I know that they're called a little bit different in different countries, but the idea here is that they wanted to have something that was that allowed for absolute recovery of their systems. So we gave them the ability to have this automatic failover, from application failures and operating systems, fully hands-free locally, fast replication between sites. They wanted to make sure that they were fully orchestrated to their DR site. They wanted to push a button if there was a tornado that came through and destroyed their data centers. They wanted to be able to do that and get 911 services up and running very, very quickly. They also suffer probably more than the usual with ransomware. For some reason, our governments, our cities and states, they seem to have they're targeted specifically for ransomware. So they need to ensure that ransomware won't hijack their systems for days. And as I mentioned, the average downtime is about 7 days in the US. It's higher in other parts of the world. So they needed to be able to recover very, very quickly. And they needed a DR option for public cloud infrastructure, right? So the solution that we provided with them gave them, again, push button initiated failover, WAN optimized replication, failover in 2 minutes, automatic redirection, and with zero distance limitation. So regardless of what could have possibly happened, whether it is local problems where you have hardware failures, application operating system problems, ransomware, you have protection in those types of scenarios. But if you have a full site outage, you still have that third node that's running in a different data center. So these are the three specific use cases for Continuity Engine. And so what I wanted to do now is I wanted to bring to the Zoom stage here one of our special guests. And he is actually a partner of ours. So what we'll do is we'll bring to our stage Jorge Ojeda. He is the CEO of RealNet, which is based in Mexico City. So Jorge, welcome to our broadcast.
Hello, Michael. Thank you for your invitation. I really appreciate it.
So Jorge, we wanted to kind of take a couple minutes and just kind of interview you and just understand your business a little bit, and specifically, you know, out of all of the different continuity companies that you do business with, and you've been in business for a long time, you know, why did you choose Neverfail as your strategic partner for continuous availability?
Yeah, Michael. Yes, we have some solution for backup and restore for operation for our companies, our customers, and we help those companies to restore their servers after any events. However, those restorations were manually. So in that case, we got at least 1 to 4 hours to reestablish their operations. So, but some of our customers were looking for almost zero loss of time in continuity for the business operation. That's why we select Continuity Engine from Neverfail to help us to do that automatically, giving our customers the confidence their business. Okay, so that's why we select the Neverfail products.
Very good, very good. And since you're in Mexico City, so I know that you have, you know, a lot of things that potentially Continuity Engine could really help your customers with. But tell me a little bit about what really drives the need for Continuity Engine in your specific territory in Mexico.
Yes, as you know, we have earthquakes, for example, in Mexico City. We have flood in some areas in Mexico, in our country. Energy, the failing energy in Mexico is a very, very great problem in Mexico, and that's why the adaptation we are according with the needs of the companies that were affected mainly with ransomware attacks, as you say, because we receive between 2 or 4 calls every Monday from companies that were affected with the ransomware. So as you can see, as you say, the earthquakes, flood, fail with energy, sometimes fires, for example. So Continuity Engine gives us the opportunity to deliver our customer the solution to get a really disaster recovery and business continuity with almost zero time in failure, and works as I said, works automatically.
Very good, very good. So these are very similar requirements that we see in other parts of the world. But I just wanted to ask you one more question. And you know, you're a relatively new partner for us. We've been working with you since last year. And so, you know, I wanted to just give our audience today just an idea of what is it like to work with the Neverfail team.
Well, when we started working with you, we really appreciate your support, technical, commercial, and the most important for us is business in order to be successful. So I really appreciate all your support from you guys, because we really want to work with you as I told you. Thank you so much for your appreciation.
Well, we thank you for joining us today, Jorge, and I really appreciate all the work that you and your team have done at RealNet. We have a lot of great opportunities that we're working on right now with your team, and so we look forward to working with you in the future here. And thank you for joining the broadcast.
Thank you. I really appreciate for your invitation.
Thank you. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about what's coming or what's new with Continuity Engine 2021. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a little bit for everybody here. So we talked a little bit about our company, how, where this is positioned, so that if you are contemplating Continuity Engine, you can have a little bit of information on, this type of technology and what value we bring to the table. Now it's time for a little bit of showing a little bit of why this is such a great technology, right? For both even new prospects and certainly for existing customers. So as we mentioned, we launched our new next generation product in December of 2020, and just before Christmas. One of the major reasons why we did this is because our technology was based on Flash, right? So what we call the engine management service, which is just our high level management experience, if you will. It provides both management and deployment services through a portal. In this case, at that point, it was based on Flash. But we knew that Flash was coming to end of life. So we started about a year and a half ago to really redesign Continuity Engine so that we could, not only, just change the UI over to HTML5, but we looked at this and said, how can we do this better, right? How can we look at this? We had amazing designers come in and work with us. We spared, really no expense to try to improve our user experience. And so what you're going to see today is the kind of the culmination of that, right? So we took, we designed this, we coded this, we tested this in the field with some of our partners and some of our customers to get feedback from this. And it seems to have worked out really well. And it sets the stage for us to really just continue to expand the functionality into the future. So the first is what we never had before was a whole new dashboard that we've started implementing with Continuity Engine. Now, this right now only provides you about 4 or 5 KPIs, right? But it is intelligent. It allows you to break things down into different groups and be able to select servers and different aspects of these pie charts and stuff. This will expand moving forward. So in the weeks and months to come, you will see as we add more updates, we're going to add more KPIs to report back what's happening in the infrastructure when it comes to continuity, if you will. But for now, on the initial release, you have the ability to see, especially if you're in a VMware environment, you can look at the global inventory that you have through vCenter, where you have vCenter connected via the engine management service. And it'll tell you how many servers that you have in your environment versus what you've actually have protected. So that is that is really nice. Over a period of time and later this year, our roadmap has us adding more types of inventories. So we're going to do public cloud inventories such as AWS and Google and Azure. But we're also going to add Hyper-V inventory. So you'll be able to see everything that's out there eventually in the next year or so. And you'll be able to deploy Continuity Engine through this new mechanism. We also give you the ability to see the health of all your servers. So nice pie chart talks about, which ones are connecting, which ones have stopped, which ones are in error. And you can click on the different aspects of the pie chart and it gives you a list of those. And you can see the error events, things like that. So it's really nice. It kind of consolidates this into a single user experience and be able to give you additional information that you didn't have before. We also have the ability to, look at the different versions that are out there. So that was one of the issues we've always had is, we have you know, a lot of customers, many of them have different levels or different versions of the software. So now you can actually see this within the engine management service, your pie, if you will, of how all of your deployments are and what versions are out there, and if they need to be upgraded or not, right? So, and then finally and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is our license status, which goes along with the new licensing system that we're going to talk about a little later on in the presentation. The other thing that we did was we wanted to redesign how we actually interact with the cluster itself. So for those who are familiar with our Flash-based UI, there was like a little status with a triangle representation of the cluster. What we did was we wanted to include a lot more information. There wasn't just enough room there to put more information in. So we flattened it out into our new UI. And now we give you the ability to see which data centers they're in, what the name of the servers are, what roles they have, if they're active, they're passive. The channel configuration is much more intuitive now. You can see whether they're replicating, what their RPOs are, when we started services on these endpoints, what the networking configuration is. And this is just the beginning. So, and in just a minute, I'll show you a few more things and, in our UI, but this is really the core of what we wanted to accomplish. And what you're going to see is that with Continuity Engine, we've now moved to more animated type of user experience, where you'll see things like the replication arrows that you see here in this graphic, which are green. You'll see them moving. You'll see other animated icons that show different types of statuses with Continuity Engine. It's just much, much more intuitive than it ever has been before. One of the big features of Continuity Engine is we completely rethought how we deploy Continuity Engine, and specifically through the engine management service. So in the old UI, you had, in version 8.5 and below, you had 3 different wizards that you would do, one for HA, one for DR, one for tertiary. One of the things that, was apparent from our customers is that, you had to put in a lot of IP addresses, and it was a little confusing for people. I mean, once you were trained and you knew how to do it, then it was fine, but it wasn't just straightforward, right? So what we wanted to do is we wanted to redesign this so that it was almost effortless. And we wanted to give you a visual representation of the cluster. So the new wizard, the Add Standby Servers wizard, which is introduced with Continuity Engine 2021, allows you to now, literally click on the different parts of the cluster and fill in data, right? So if you want to do the channel, you can go in an HA from production to HA. You click on this, it asks you for the IP addresses so that they can talk to one another, right? If you click on HA, the HA node, it asks you where you want to put it, right? If you're in a VMware environment, it'll actually use vCenter APIs. It'll ask you for the data store and the host that it needs to go on, but it gives you the ability to set that up, right? If you're going from production to DR, if you have just a DR deployment, you just click on this, you put the IP addresses in for the channel, and then you click on this guy and it'll ask you for the new IP address, its subnet mask, its DNS server, and ask you where you want to put it. And so all of this is really, really straightforward, and you're building out a deployment. And if it's tertiary, then you would have one more set of channel IP addresses that takes you from HR to the DR, or HA to the DR site, right? So once all of this turns green, you hit the next button, it validates everything, and then it goes through and begins the steps of doing your full implementation. This is a truly groundbreaking change for us. And it really, and we actually added even small details, such as we put IP masks on certain, when you're inputting your IP addresses. So you don't have to type in the dots, if you will, right? So those are just little changes that we made that really reinvent how we do our deployments. The other thing too now is we have an enhanced upgrade wizard. So if you are a Continuity Engine customer, you know that there is an upgrade wizard. It is, basically validates whether the systems are ready for upgrade or not. and it just pushes the new kit once it's the engine management service has been upgraded. It pushes engine out to those protected application servers, and then internally it just upgrades all the nodes automatically for you. So it's really effortless. What we wanted to do though is we wanted to give you, since we are moving to a different type of licensing model, which is what we call subscription term, we wanted to make sure that you understood that you are going into a different licensing model, right? So there are things that are going to be, there are changes in the EULA that will that you will need to know about, but we wanted to kind of give you the the ability to say, okay, I'm not really ready for this yet, so we're going to just hold off on the upgrade a little bit until maybe a future date. But just know that you have some safety nets here. You don't have to upgrade, if you don't want to immediately. You can stay on Engine 8.5 and you can use the HTML5 user experience, which is backwards compatible with Engine 8.5. Okay. If you do not upgrade to Engine 9, right, or Continuity Engine 2021, then obviously there's going to be some new features that you will not get, right? So when you move to the term licensing model, it enables some new features such as the server monitoring, so that we can actually configure split brain avoidance and server isolation and network monitoring. All of these now are new APIs that we've added and are now part of Continuity Engine 9. You also will not be able to add a standby server and reconstruct your servers if you have a corruption of a standby server, right? So those only are allowed if you have the new licensing. So it's backwards compatible, but to get to these new features, you need to upgrade to the latest version. You have no access to the new licensing server unless you upgrade to the new term licenses. And so, you would also want to take advantage of all of the hundreds of software fixes and performance increases and improvements that we've done over the last year and a half. There are some things that we included during, the updates 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, of Continuity Engine, version 8.5. But there are some that we actually held for 9.0 just because of the implications of the new kit, right? So these are definitely things that you would want to take advantage of. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the new licensing, the new licensing model. So we have what we call a subscription software as a service licensing model, and you're going to move, if you move to version 9 of Continuity Engine on your protected application servers, you can use the engine management service without upgrading those endpoints, if you will, because it's backwards compatible with Engine 8.5. But if you do move to the new licensing model, then there are some things that go along with it, right? So the new licensing model is term. So it is a subscription service. So every year you'll have to update your maintenance on your on your protected application servers to continue the use of Continuity Engine. You can migrate the licenses between hardware if you're doing, if you're phasing out old hardware and moving to some new ones. We can regenerate keys if you need to. What's nice about the new licensing model is that, just because your renewal date stops at X date, you will have a 30-day grace period on it, right? So you don't have to be paranoid that, February 28th, if that's the end of your, end of your term, if you will, that everything's gonna stop then. You will have another 30 days to kind of get the paperwork through and get things done. So, so you'll be able to do that pretty easily. And we will, you will get renewal bills on a yearly basis to continue operation. And when we do that, the licenses will be updated, and we will extend your your services for another year or multiple years if you buy multiple years of support. I just want to make sure that everyone understands there is no obligation to upgrade to Continuity 2021 if you're on Engine 8.5 or below. Again, you want to take advantage of some of these new capabilities. It is backwards compatible, as mentioned before. So the engine management service will, under HTML5, manage a Engine 8.5 deployment without having to upgrade your endpoints to 9.0, right? And finally, you know, engine 8.0, 7.1 will, in version 7.1 will end of life in Q1 of 2022. So just be ready for this, because, you know, as you know, like any software company, we will end of life older versions in favor of some of the new technology. So if you are a paid maintenance, if you have paid maintenance, you can upgrade for free to the next version, right? So that's, you know, you have an upgrade path. We're not going anywhere. You know, we have a lot of new cool things that we're going to be doing with the technology. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to our demo environment, and we are going to take a look at Continuity Engine. We're just going to go through a walkthrough of the new UI, user experience. So this is the engine management service. And so when you look at it, obviously it's a lot different if you're an existing customer than the Engine 8.5 UI. Notice that we have new logos, we have completely different graphics on here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to log in as administrator. And notice that it drops into our new dashboard. Interestingly enough, this has been internationalized. So we have the ability to introduce multiple languages now. So we support English, of course, Spanish. We have international Spanish. Chinese is now supported with this. We have traditional and also simplified Chinese. We have Romanian, because our folks are in engineering teams in Romania. We are planning on in probably update 2, which will come out in the early spring, to have also Brazilian Portuguese. So that will also be added to this. And then we'll continue to add more localization as we need to, as you know, as the business drives it. But this is a whole new thing for Continuity Engine, having a full localized copy of the engine management service that is extensible now. So now we can actually add new languages almost on demand with Continuity Engine. So you have the inventory. This is actually connected to a vCenter, but notice that it also, in a VMware environment, you have multiple, you have multiple data centers. It gives you a list of those data centers here, and it also gives you a list of all of the, the hosts that are in there. So you have the ability to see all this real time, and then if you need to, you can actually launch the install wizard to install those onto your protected application servers. Okay, so once those are installed, you have the protected servers is the list of all of the protected servers in your infrastructure. So if you click on this one is actually a pair configuration. Actually, if I go back one step, if you look at the status here, you actually see that one's a pair, one's a trio, and you can see what the high level, what the actual what the actual configuration is, right, and what the statuses are. Notice that these are term licenses, so it'll tell you when your license will expire, right? So you have full access to this. You will see this in the server statuses. You'll see what versions you're in, and you also have quick access to all of the major features of Continuity Engine right from the servers. Now, if you have a new server that you need to protect from your inventory or a physical server, you can click on Protect Server, and you can put either the FQDN of the server in, or you can select it from the inventory systems. Okay, so in this case, this is a HA deployment of Continuity Engine. Notice that we have animated icons here. This is basically an active cluster. We actually have the secondary is our active server right now, and our primary is our passive. Notice that it gives you all of this additional information. I can click on the eye here, and it tells me the networking configuration. On the side here, and this is the stuff that's new to Continuity Engine 2021, is that you now have control over other additional capabilities of Continuity Engine that you just didn't have in version 8.5, such as data loss avoidance and split brain avoidance, active server isolation rules, false failover avoidance. So if you have these, you can just click on them, and it gives you not only the options to manage these. But if you click on these guys right here, it tells you in detail how to use them, which is new to Continuity Engine 2021. So this is much, much more intuitive, and it provides you the information you need to deploy these different advanced features. Our event system is very similar, but what you're going to find is that you have full search capabilities now. I mean, full text search capabilities. So if I just want everything from the, say the secondary, it just gives me all that. Say if I want the ones for application, they have application in them. So you have full text capabilities. The searching, the services also have full text capabilities, and we also put hot links up here. So if I only want to see my SQL Server services, I can manage those. I can add a service directly from the Service Control Manager. Also, new in Continuity Engine 2021 is a full data summary that shows the the status of replication across all the nodes in the cluster. So you can see the data traffic from the primary, secondary, and if you had the third node, the tertiary, you'd see those here. You can see how much compression and deduplication you're getting. This shows you if this is flat right here, then you have 0 RPO, right? But if there is a buildup of traffic, of replication traffic, you would see these actually grow. These replication queue statistics grow, and you can see it real time. Another new feature in Continuity Engine is the inclusion and exclusion wizard that allows you now to do inclusions and exclusion filters for files and folders through a tree control. So you can actually, go through the file system, and you can actually select these files and folders and put inclusion and exclusion and also pattern matching rules in. The shadows capabilities for our ransomware, and the data rollback module, if you will, is here. And it's been ported over. You can search through different, because we actually hold up to 512. Before, these snapshots, you'd have to kind of scroll through them one at a time, but now you can actually search through them. So if you know the specific date, you can actually put the date up here and actually search for them and bring up the exact snapshot you want to restore to. And of course, we have our alert system has been redesigned, so we have a much smoother user experience. You can actually do a lot of the filtering based on what's there. And then of course, you have the data tabs and also the rules engine, all have been redesigned. So this is really kind of the crux of what Continuity Engine 2021 brings to the table. And finally is really our benefits, right? So this is really kind of how it all comes together. And with Continuity Engine, we give you the ability to identify and proactively react to failures inside the application server. And this gives you intelligent high availability. This is really critical for any customers. They want to have a fully hands-off approach to this. So this gives you 100% hands-off automatic failover locally so that your applications are available even if your IT staff is not. We've learned a lot from this pandemic that our IT staffs could get sick and they can't, they have to be isolated, they can't, or incapacitated. So having this type of intelligence layer is really, really critical and is a great benefit to our customers. We can substantially reduce the overhead of bandwidth and intersite replication. We give you an elegant approach to ensuring business continuance that is not overly engineered and complex. We give you a very simple to understand technology that does one thing and one thing well. It does full application aware failover and does the orchestration automatically for you for failover. You can deploy this on any hardware so that gives you flexibility from a cost perspective and time and people. And it also allows you to fail over Windows environments to DR in just a few minutes flawlessly and fully orchestrated, right? So this is great, great, great. And be able to switch it all back is even better, right? So being able to easily bring it back with zero data loss is just a beautiful thing. So that really kind of concludes the presentation. I'm going to hand this back over to Chris and for some question and answers and some concluding comments here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. Just to summarize here, folks, about next steps. Additionally, we're going to be rolling out quarterly webinars here. The next one titled Rapid Recovery from Ransomware, coming April 21st, 2021. So look for social media posts and emails from our great marketing team for more information on that. And then questions. Mike, one that came up, I think that'll really kind of paint the picture. An enterprise organization has VMware fault tolerance. Would they benefit from Neverfail?
Oh, absolutely. So remember, when going back to the pyramid slide, VMware HA and FT are in the basic failover category, if you will. They're kind of like the third tier up. What's interesting about that provides you with full hardware availability. So you have, if you lose the physical hardware, the hosts, if you will, that virtual machine continues on a different host. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't detect application failures, right? So although you may have a mirror copy of the production server and it's running on two hosts, if one fails, you have the hardware redundancy. If something happens at the application layer, if something happens at the networking layer, if something happens at the operating system, if you have some type of crypto virology, i.e. ransomware, those things are just not covered with fault tolerance. So although it does give you some additional benefits, until you get to full application aware, intelligent, high availability, which is what Continuity Engine does for continuous availability, you still have those gaps in your continuity strategy.
Awesome. Thank you. We are over our time. Again, from everyone here at Neverfail, thank you very much for spending the hour with us. If you ask questions, we will be in touch today to answer those and to help you. So really, again, I appreciate you spending the time with us and looking forward to working with you further. Goodbye.